Aftermarket wheels. They're confusing, and there's not a whole lot of help out there on the internet. Let's talk about them today. What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the vlog. Today we're going to have kind of a discussion about aftermarket wheels because, like I said there in the beginning, they're difficult to fully understand, and there's not a lot of help out there on the internet, and most wheel companies don't really want to work with you too much to figure out exactly what you want. They want to just kind of sell you a wheel and get you out the door. But today we're going to talk about the company that I chose to go with for my wheels on my C8 Z06 behind me, and that was, of course, Forgelight. Now, there's a bunch of reasons why I went with Forgelight over all of the other offerings out there on the internet. We're going to talk about all of them today, but the biggest one, the one I want to stress the most on and put right out there in the forefront here, is the customer service. I've talked to a lot of different wheel companies out there, and a lot of them, like I said in the beginning, don't really want to work with you too much outside of just getting you a wheel and getting you out the door. With Forgelight, I literally spent, I think it was close to a month. Yeah, I'm sorry, Forgelight. We spent about a month going back and forth on what wheel style I wanted, what color I wanted, what color I wanted the indentations or the customizations on the wheel to be, what I wanted the offsets to be, how I wanted the offsets to look. These are all questions you should have about your wheels as well. Now, for the most part, this video is going to focus on the C8 Corvette Stingray and the C8 Corvette Z06, but a lot of this stuff can be applied to pretty much any car out there. So the reason why I told you Forgelight customer service was so good is because, like I said, they were stuck with me for that entire month. They were going back and forth. They were really figuring out exactly what I wanted and why, how I wanted the wheel to look. And they were very upfront about the way certain things were going to work. So the first wheel I sent them, the first wheel option I really wanted, they said, yeah, that would look great on your car, but it's going to weigh a little bit more than these wheels. And then they showed me a separate section of wheels that they have that were a little bit lighter weight. And at the end of the day, I wanted lightweight. If you guys haven't seen the previous video of when I first put these wheels on, I talked a lot about the fact that I liked the stock wheels. I didn't really want to switch from the stock wheels unless it was something outside of just looks. And in this case, these dropped 15 pounds, actually almost 16 pounds off of the total unsprung mass weight of the car, which is huge. Plus they look better, plus they're powder coated instead of painted, so they're stronger all around, including the powder coat job. Everything about the wheel is better than the stock wheel, and that's what I wanted. So how do you get to that same place? Even if you don't go with Forgelight, which I would highly recommend you do, because if you do, and you follow the link in the description down below, you can save 250 bucks on a set of these wheels. $250. But if you do go with a different wheel company, here's some things you should know. The first step of the process is going to be, obviously, customer service. You're going to want to contact them, find out the wheel you want, get all of the information you possibly can from them about said wheel, and then you're going to start talking about offsets. Offsets are where things get really, really crazy, because if you want that wheel to perfectly fill up the fender gap and look as good as possible on the car, a lot of times aftermarket wheel companies don't have the numbers to know exactly what's going to work for that particular setup. Now, if they don't have the numbers, a good wheel company will also have you do some measurements for them, and then they'll make those numbers. Now, this is, again, something that relies heavily on the customer service. Are they willing to work with you to that degree? Or do they just want to sell you a set of wheels and get you out the door? Now, a lot of you are going to have the same questions I did. What offset should you use on a C8 Corvette? Well, the C8 Corvette Z06 monoblock wheel. And this is where things get really confusing, because you have basically three different options. You have your forged monoblock, you have a forged two-piece wheel, and then possibly a three-piece wheel. All three of those are going to have slightly different offsets to achieve the same look. Now, me personally, I'm going to focus on the monoblock setup because I don't really dig the look of a two or three-piece wheel. I'm not a big fan of the rivets and the things that you can see, or the screws that you can see from the outside of the wheel. It just kind of takes away from the look of the wheel, in my opinion. That's something I would reserve more for truck people, to have screws on their wheels and everything. The way that I think it looks the best is basically the way you see it back here. One solid piece of a wheel, all carved out of a forged block of aluminum, and it's gonna give you that extra strength. It's gonna give you that extra lightweight ability too. So for the purpose of this video, we are gonna be focusing on the monoblock, and in my case, the offsets for these wheels to get them to the point where they are perfectly flush with the fenders is plus 29 in the front and plus 22 in the rear. Now, if you wanted to get super aggressive, you could probably go 28 or 27 in the front and 21 or 20 in the rear to get them possibly poking a little bit outside of the fenders. But if you want perfectly flush, 29, 22. Now these are of course stock sizes. They are 20-inch in the front and 21-inch in the rear. I did that because I wanted to reuse the stock tires, but also there is a point where your wheels are too large in my opinion. And really, I don't know that I would go any bigger than this. If you could possibly match 21s in the front and 21s in the rear, but I feel like going 21 in the front and 22 in the rear would be really a little bit too much, and you'll probably have some rubbing issues. That's another thing. The car behind me is lowered. So I have this car dropped about an inch. And in my case, this is a front end lift car. So I have the Paragon Performance collars on the front that dropped it roughly an inch. And then in the rear, the adjustable factory coilovers, I dropped it down another inch there. So what you're seeing here is basically an inch lowered plus those offsets that I just gave you, and they fit basically perfect. So just to recap up to this point, what you want to do for the C8 Corvette Z06 especially is 21 in the rear, 20-inch in the front, plus 29 offset in the front, plus 22 offset in the rear, and again, you will achieve this kind of fitment. And that is only going to be for the monoblock wheels or the single piece wheels. These numbers will be different if you go with a 2 or 3 piece wheel. Now, to talk a little bit more specifically about Forgelight, why I recommend Forgelight to you guys, like I said in the beginning, they use a much higher quality standard. So their runouts on their wheels are much tighter. All of the tolerances are much tighter, meaning you're going to get a much smoother surface on the wheel, a much smoother surface on the back part of the wheel that actually touches the face of the rotor that mounts to the car. What does that mean for you? It means you're really going to have almost a perfectly balanced wheel. You're not really going to have to stick on a whole bunch of wheel weights to get these things balanced. Now, where this thing really comes into perspective for me is my C7 ZR1, I had to absolutely 100%, I have to road force balance the tires on that wheel. If I don't, above 80 miles an hour, you will get a massive shake to the car because the wheels are not super balanced. With these ones, I did not road force balance them, and they are absolutely perfectly balanced. I have taken the car in Mexico, of course, up to 135 since I put these wheels on, and no problems with balance whatsoever. I did not road force balance them, and there's a reason for that. The other thing about these wheels that really kind of hits home and tells you exactly what this company is all about is the tolerance of the wheel itself being installed. So before I installed it, I actually pointed out on my last video that there was knurling around the edges on the front and the rear of the wheel that basically locks the tire in place. So if you are going very fast and you hit the brakes really hard, that tire will not spin on the wheel itself. That is a thing that can happen, but not with these wheels. Now, outside of that, when you're installing the wheel, the hole for the lug studs is very tight around the lug stud, allowing no movement. The hole for the wheel hub ring is very tight. It goes on and it really just pushes and clips into place. So there is no play on these things. It is perfectly machined to fit these cars in a way that will do very well on a track. So the reason I mention that is because of that knurling on the inside of the wheels. In order to do a road force balance, the tire company will actually put the wheel on a balancer, and as it spins, it will tell them where to spin the tire to on the wheel to achieve 100% perfect balance. While my tire guy was trying to do that, there's a lot more involved in getting the tire to spin on the wheel because of that knurling. They have to use special tools to get it to spin because otherwise it's locked in place. So I told him not to worry about it because as he was balancing them, he told me that there was really no point to do a road force balance because these things were coming up perfect. So I said, all right, don't worry about it. And like I said, I haven't had to worry about it. So this is just another reason to get a higher quality wheel. And in this case, Forgelight makes these things with such a high quality run out that you are going to achieve much more precise specs. Meaning your surfaces are going to be smoother, the wheel's going to be stronger, all that stuff. Now, outside of that, we touched on this in the wheel install video, but I also wanted to talk about the fact that I was sent high quality renderings showing what the wheel was going to look like on the car before I bought them. So again, you're going to drop thousands of dollars on wheels. You might as well know you're going to like it on the car before you buy it. And Forgelight was very good with this. They sent me back and forth, I think altogether 12 pictures, high resolution pictures of a black C8 Corvette Z06 coupe with the wheel style that I wanted installed on it, so I could really see if I was gonna like it or not. Now, this was really big for me because, like I said, I went through, I think 6 different wheel options from their website before I settled on the ones you see behind me. I wanted to see what they were going to look like on the car as well as in different colors because I wasn't 100% sure what color I wanted to go with either. So they can do all of this for you. Again, guys, if you're interested in Forgelight wheels, check out the link in the description down below. Save yourself $250 on a set, and believe me whenever I tell you, these are the absolute highest quality wheels I have ever used. Now, I have done a lot of business with aftermarket wheel companies in the past. I have aftermarket wheels on my TRX. I have had aftermarket wheels on my 2020 C8. My 2000 C5 Corvette had aftermarket wheels. Pretty much every car I've owned has had aftermarket wheels. You can customize them however you want. Like I showed on my previous install video, I have HPO engraved on my wheel, and it's filled in with red while the rest of the wheel is a satin black. You can put whatever you want on there. Looking back on it, I kind of wish I would have put a Z06 emblem on there because they can mimic the Z06 emblem exactly how it is on the car itself. So customization is a huge thing as well. Is that something that's important to you? Because if it is, again, there's not a lot of wheel companies out there that will do that. So hopefully this kind of gives you a little bit of a look into what it is you can expect from an aftermarket wheel company, what it is you should expect more so than what you can expect. Because if you don't get treatment like this, you should check out Forgelight. And again, I apologize to Forgelight. I know I was one of their most annoying customers because I was back and forth a million times, but I'll tell you what, they never once slowed down on their responses. They never once seemed like they were agitated. They were happy to help. And that's what I loved about the entire experience. Customer service is a big thing nowadays, guys. Again, if you're gonna spend thousands of dollars on these things, you might as well enjoy the experience. Anyway, guys, I hope that helped you. I hope you can have a little bit of a better idea of what to expect with these things. Worst case scenario, contact Forgelight, and if you contact them in that link down below, you're gonna get the best possible price. If when you hit request a quote, you put horsepower obsessed in the message. They're gonna know that I sent you, they're gonna give you the best possible quote, they're gonna help you out, and they're also gonna give you $250 off the set of wheels. So if you liked what you saw, guys, smash the thumbs up button, let me know you're liking the content. I love making this stuff for you guys, but I wanna know you love it as much as I love making it. If that's the case, the thumbs up helps. Also go ahead and subscribe while you're at it, and as always, guys, stay obsessed.